ICE is now going after and detaining all black people in Chicago, including black Americans, regardless of your citizenship status and regardless if you are native to this country.
Lives in this building, and she says she was detained by ICE agents overnight, and she says they took everyone and then asked questions later.
They just treated us like we were nothing.
Patricia Fisher says she came out to the hallway of her apartment complex on the corner of 75th and South Shore Drive in her nightgown around 10 Monday night, only to find ICE agents yelling police.
It was scary because I've never had a gun put in my face. They asked my name and my date of birth and asked me did I have any warrants, and I told them no, I didn't.
She says she was then handcuffed and released around 3 a.m. Fisher says she was told if anyone had any kind of warrant out for them, even if it was unrelated to immigration, they would not be released. Citizenat video shows the chaotic scene overnight. Neighbors tell us there were dozens of ICE agents.
Back in June, I was called a tether by my own people because I was telling Black Americans that we are not absolved from the harms of ICE and that it's been important to advocate for immigrant community because the Americanness was never going to save us because they will see the blackness first. I also said they're not going to be asking anybody for their IDs or their birth certificate. And here we are at the beginning of October, where a community of Black American people have been picked up by ICE. And not only were these Black Americans picked up and detained by ICE, but their entire building, their homes, their apartments were ransacked and left in complete disarray.
Alright, I ain't never been Mr. I told you so. So with the news of the Chicago ICE raids, I'm still not gonna be that. But from now on, I need y'all to understand, if you are a Black African American, if you are just brown or a POC, you are now immediately a target for ICE raids. In case you ain't know, them folks done ran up into an apartment complex in the middle of Chicago, and regardless of how them folks spoke, regardless of where they said they was from, regardless of how they appeared, they got thrown into a van and sent in for questioning. Some folks didn't get out until 3 a.m. and that's for the older elderly women. That means that is an illegal search. That is an illegal arrest, going into your property, search and seizure, and then sending you in for questioning. And if you had a warrant out for your arrest, you're not getting sent back. That is not normal. That is not okay. That is civilly unrest.
Did you hear about the midnight raid in South Shore in Chicago? Here's what just happened and why this matters to you. Are you ready? Let's go. So last night in Chicago South Shore, federal agents, ICE, swarmed a residential building. Did y'all hear about this? Okay. Now, this was in the dark of early morning that this happened, and the operation actually left these Black folks, these residents, traumatized. Because wouldn't you be? Yeah. So questioning constitutional boundaries was absolutely what happened, and demanding accountability is the next thing. So voices from the ground, and what we should be watching for is what we're getting ready to go over right now. You ready? If you're not, go ahead and scroll on now, because a lot of y'all like to argue and stuff and say that we're lying and we're making this up. But baby, this was reported on by their local news. So the raid took place around 75th and South Shore Drive, according to DHS. There were 37 arrests that were made with the CBP, the FBI, and the ATF that was involved. Now, their media confirms that U.S. citizens were among those that were detained, though temporarily. Now, residents report agents asking names, birth dates, and demands of warrants, even unrelated ones. There is actual video of people in zip ties being led to a nearby school lot at 1 o'clock in the morning. Now, witnesses have actually described tear gas, flashbangs, property destruction, and van transports segregating Black people from immigrants. Now, here's what some of the folks that were there actually said. They just treated us like we were nothing. It was scary because I had never had a gun in my face. They asked, "Do you have any warrants?" I told them, no, I didn't. They're like piling us all up. It wasn't no room to move anywhere. They was terrified. The kids was crying. They had them zip tied together. One of them literally laughed and said, "Fuck them kids." They had big 15-inch chainsaws cutting the fence down. They had the Black people in one van and the immigrants in another. I was placed in a plastic zip tie handcuffs and detained for nearly 2 hours. Once I went into the hallway, they put us in the plastic wristband thingies. They just took our information. Someone else said, "I don't like how they did it because us Americans, we didn't have anything to do with them." Now, these aren't isolated testimonies, folks. These are a painted pattern of mass detentions, indiscriminate treatment, and fear in a Black neighborhood with Americans. Okay. So here are the constitutional concerns. The raid raises urgent Fourth Amendment questions: search, seizure warrants. Detaining U.S. citizens under suspicion of immigration violations or unrelated warrants erodes legal protections. Number one, racial and community impact. So South Shore is predominantly a black neighborhood. So this kind of forceful nighttime raid, sweeping entire buildings, fuels distrust, trauma, and the question, who is being policed? We won't need to ask that question, because what were you doing there anyway? You already knew. Transparency and accountability. DHS, ICE, they've made statements but have not released full arrest records or evidence backing gang affiliation claims. Communities deserve clarity. But in this case, no one cares until it's your neighborhood. Precedent and ripple effect. If allowed unchecked, this kind of tactic may expand into other vulnerable neighborhoods across the country. So here's the question. You ready? Is ICE or DHS publishing detailed warrants or arrest justifications? Which detainees are being charged and for what? Do we know? What legal challenges are going to follow? Will constitutional rights be asserted in court? How will community leaders respond? Protests, legal suits, public pressure? We're going to see about that too. And what federal oversight or local pushback will emerge from this? Because the question is if you're doing this in one black community, oh baby, listen, this is just the beginning. So what's your call to action? Share this information, look for answers, continue to keep your ear to the street, and demand answers from your elected officials in your community. Find out how protected you are and learn and understand exactly what that amendment says. And what is that? The Fourth Amendment, folks. Let's not get beside ourselves and not do the research or the due diligence that is necessary. It is the Fourth Amendment. Because see, when your neighbors are terrorized in the middle of the night, silence is complicity. Are you complicit? Hope not. For more news and information that you can always use, head over to brownstoneworldwide.com, Cityscape Radio, and you guessed it, Brownstone Living Magazine. We'll see you around.
Those ICE people are in Chicago terrorizing Black Americans. So Black people, if you thought you were safe, you are not. It's not only for the immigrants. They are cuffing Black Americans, sending off flashbangs, doing all types of illegal things. Cuffing these people for no reason, asking them if they have warrants, asking them for their date of birth, who they are, all of the above. It's crazy, it's sick, and they're probably coming to a neighborhood near you. And I'm never going to shut up about this. You may try to silence me. I'll go on another platform and talk about it. But Black people, be safe for real, because these things are happening in the middle of the night. People said they went outside of their apartments to be greeted by ICE yelling, police, police, flashbangs, and people asking them if they have warrants. It's nuts. It's actually scary. And it's scary.
ICE is now detaining African American citizens in Chicago, like as we speak. And the governor has come out and said to record everything, narrate everything, make sure everything is documented, ask for their badge number, even if they refuse, get them on camera. But I'm gonna say that again. ICE is now detaining Black citizens in Chicago. For every Black American that got on the internet and this app and refused to talk about what ICE was doing and what is going on in our country, because I don't really care about the Hispanic community because they don't care about us, which is BS in of itself, but that's a whole nother conversation. We told you that we would be next, right? And y'all didn't listen. And look. So this is a sign for everyone to get off their damn high horses and start caring about what is going on in your communities and in your nation. Whether or not is this happening to someone who looks like you. Simply because we are human. This shit is not okay. And we've been yelling that.
ICE is now going after and detaining all Black people in Chicago, including Black Americans, regardless of your citizenship status and regardless if you are native to this country.
Lives in this building, and she says she was detained by ICE agents overnight, and she says they took everyone and then asked questions later.
They just treated us like we were nothing.
Patricia Fisher says she came out to the hallway of her apartment complex on the corner of 75th and South Shore Drive in her nightgown around 10 Monday night, only to find ICE agents yelling police.
It was scary because I've never had a gun put in my face. They asked my name and my date of birth and asked me did I have any warrants, and I told them no, I didn't.
She says she was then handcuffed and released around 3 a.m. Fisher says she was told if anyone had any kind of warrant out for them, even if it was unrelated to immigration, they would not be released. Citizen App video shows the chaotic scene overnight. Neighbors tell us there were dozens of ICE agents. Neighbors like Ebony Watson says they ducked for cover as they heard several flashbangs go off.
They was terrified. The kids was crying. People was screaming. They looked very distraught. I was out there crying when I seen the little girl come around the corner. Because they was bringing the kids out too. Had them zip tied to each other. That's all.
It appears that ICE agents have been targeting black neighborhoods and specifically apartment complexes where they know majority of the population of those buildings are black Americans who are native to America, ergo American citizens. This was a threat that was told to us by Kamala Harris and many people that he would send troops after citizens and that he definitely would do his darndest to go after Latinos first, Asians second, and then us. Stay vigilant, stay safe, because who knows what's going to happen. The Governor Pritzker is fighting against Trump now, pushing back on Trump sending in the army and the military, which he's still planning to do. But ICE agents have ramped up their efforts in Chicago over the last couple of days because of this, including now black people.
Back in June, I was called a tether by my own people because I was telling Black Americans that we are not absolved from the harms of ICE, and that it's been important to advocate for immigrant community because the Americanness was never going to save us because they will see the blackness first. I also said they're not going to be asking anybody for their IDs or their birth certificate. And here we are at the beginning of October, where a community of Black American people have been picked up by ICE. And not only were these Black Americans picked up and detained by ICE, but their entire building, their homes, their apartments were ransacked and left in complete disarray. ICE is the police. We have always seen that when it comes to Black folks, that police tend to often get it wrong with us. They identify the criminality based on the rape. And y'all don't think that ICE does the same? So let's be very clear. If you didn't know it then, maybe you'll learn it now. Solidarity in these times, it's what's going to save us. Coming together and recognize that we have the same boot on our necks will get us out of our egos and maybe the fortitude to protect each other. Because while folks make the joke, oh, where are they gonna send us to? We're American. You do know they don't give a damn. And that they've also been sending people to places outside of their home countries. And for those who have been paying attention, some folks get picked up and disappear. And that's very real.